we are.
Well, my name's Mike Keyport, and I am the great-grandson, just once. Some people get that confused, but because John Beargrease did die in 1910 at the age of 52, so I'm the great-grandson. I mean, great once now. See, now I said great twice, but he was quite a pivotal point, his part of North Shore history. He was, before he even took on the mail run, him and his brothers were trappers and fishermen, and of course tended to their families and lived in teepees right on the Beaver River on Lake Superior at the mouth of the Beaver River, and they lived a very traditional native lifestyle. And then at some point, of course, there was some white settlers that came along, and they worked very well with them too, and he would be a guide for them out on Lake Superior to teach them how to fish, and then there was trading, of course. He was a big trapper, so he would trade for more modern articles like rifles or weapons, and it was a very unique, I wish I could go back in time and live that lifestyle for a while. I think it would be very unique.
So the clear Lake Superior waters back then.
Yeah, and that was their source of water. Of course, as you would know, in the late 1800s, there was no wells. I mean, you used what you had at hand, and that was hunting, fishing, gathering, wild rice, whatever it was. You lived off the land, literally.
So we were just talking earlier about some of those histories may have been lost a bit, or the stories may have been lost.
Yeah, there is stories out there that some of the historical societies have brought together, but there was stories of, like, when he'd be going up with the mail and the weather would get so bad that he just couldn't traverse anymore, so he would knock on somebody's door, and he knew everybody up and down the shore, and they would bring him in and warm him up and probably give him a little something to eat and drink and make sure the dogs are taken care of, and then when the weather cleared, then he'd go on his trek again.
So this race is similar, very similar, same route kind of.
It really is, as a board member and to keep the race going. Of course, we watch our trail to make sure it's safe. But I was telling somebody this morning. I said, John Beargrease didn't have them options. With the weather changes or the trail conditions change, you just adapt to it. And get on your mission and get the job done.
Now, that was way before Highway 61.
There was no highway. I'm told, and I've seen some photos or what the trail might. It was a trail not even wide enough for a snowmobile, barely. And then you have to remember that there was no bridges. If you've been up the North Shore, there's a stream about every mile, seems like, and he would go around them or find the safest, easiest route. And then, of course, in the summer, he did use a canoe, and he was very crafty. He was quite the jack of all trades, they called him, and he would even manufacture a sail on a canoe. So, and use the wind. Why not use Mother Nature when you can?
So this race, though, you have this connection with your family. What do you see happening in the past years with this and today?
Well, it started in 1980, so 34 times we've done this, and of course, like any organization, when you first start out, you have to have a few hiccups to work out the bugs, and it works out, and we've changed the course over a number of years. We had this race up to 500 miles at one point. It went from Duluth to Grand Portage and back to Duluth, which equated to 500 miles, and it just didn't work out. The mushers in this area wouldn't have time to train for that long of a race, so we did reduce it, and now we get it around about 370 some miles, and it works out pretty ideal for the local mushers and mushers that come from Alaska and abroad. So,
in listening to this, you race, correct?
I do not. I've tinkered with it in a recreational status, and I tell the story. I said when I was a young 25-year-old, I bought a couple dogs, and about that time I started having children, and I joke about it, but it was the truth. I said I had to buy diapers or dog food, and you can imagine which one won out.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. This year's looks like you were saying, the race is attracting mushers from all over the country.
I consider it a growing sport because, you know, our marathon race, like I say, is 370 some miles. But the junior race that we have started, it started with the marathon, and then we added the mid-distance around 150 miles, and then we added a junior race, and then we added a rec race, and last weekend we did a cub race, which was 14-year-old children and under. And we had 10 entrants for that. So I do believe it's a growing sport. I can feel that coming.
This is a great opportunity to get out and visit Minnesota, areas of Minnesota.
It really is, and if you've never been on the North Shore of Minnesota, you're really missing out. It's a beautiful part of the country, and I'll speak especially for the Grand Portage tribal reservation land. It's hilly, it's beautiful, and of course you never get tired of looking at Lake Superior.
Thank you very much for your time, sir.
You're welcome.